They called him the Great Lover, the silent film star who could steal hearts with just a glance. But what if Rudolph Valentino's charm wasn't all that followed him? At just 31, Valentino's sudden death from peritonitis left Hollywood reeling, but some believe his tragic end was no coincidence. It all starts with a ring. Valentino had been warned not to purchase it. Rumors swirled that the piece of jewelry carried a dark curse, but he bought it anyway. Soon after, Valentino's health spiraled and he died unexpectedly, leaving fans devastated. But the story doesn't end there. After his death, the cursed ring passed to a series of unlucky owners. One was shot in a bizarre accident, another died in a car crash, and yet another met a mysterious fate while wearing the ring on a movie set. Could a simple piece of jewelry really hold the power to doom so many lives? Or is it just one massive coincidence? One thing's for sure, Valentino's legacy remains entangled with the dark lore surrounding this haunted heirloom. And if you think that's creepy, wait until you hear about the curse of the original Dracula, Bela Lugosi. He didn't just play Dracula, he became Dracula. His portrayal of the bloodthirsty Count in 1931 defined his career, but it might have also defined his fate. As Lugosi's fame skyrocketed, so did his struggles. Audiences couldn't see him as anything but the infamous vampire, and the typecasting derailed his career. Stuck in the shadow of Dracula, Lugosi's once promising path led him to a string of low-budget horror flicks. He spiraled into addiction and eventually died in near obscurity. But here's the twist. Lugosi was buried in his Dracula cape. It was as if he couldn't shake the character, even in death. Was his downfall just a case of bad career choices, or did the dark, brooding role of Dracula curse Lugosi to a life of torment? Either way, the tale of the original vampire's curse continues to send shivers down the spines of horror fans and film buffs alike. But Lugosi's story is far from unique in Hollywood's long history of haunted roles and tragic fates. In fact, few names are more synonymous with on-screen heroism and off-screen tragedy than George Reeves, the original Superman. Before superheroes filled our screens, he was Superman, the man who made us believe a human could fly. But while he soared on screen, his life ended in a way that left more questions than answers. In 1959, Reeves was found dead from a gunshot wound. Officially ruled a self-ending, his death has been shrouded in mystery for decades. Some claim the evidence doesn't add up. There were multiple people in his house that night, yet no one saw or heard the gun go off until it was too late. And that's where things get really strange. Many believe Reeves was the first victim of the Superman curse. The theory goes that actors who portray the Man of Steel are doomed to face tragedy. Reeves struggled to escape the shadow of Superman, with his career unable to break free from the cape. Decades later, Christopher Reeve, no relation, suffered a devastating accident that left him paralyzed. Coincidence? Or could the curse of the last son of Krypton be more than just Hollywood gossip? So, what really happened in George Reeves's final hours? We may never know, but one thing's for sure. Being Superman comes with a heavy price. Much like Reeves, another Hollywood legend who couldn't escape tragedy was Carole Lombard. She and Clark Gable were the it couple of the 1930s, the very picture of Hollywood glamour. But behind the golden smiles and star-studded galas, their love story would end in heartbreak. In 1942, Lombard tragically died in a plane crash while returning from a war bond rally. She was just 33. Her death shattered Gable, who had been madly in love with her. Some say he was never the same man after losing her. Desperate to escape his grief, Gable enlisted in the military, throwing himself into World War II, but the damage had been done. Friends and colleagues noticed that Gable aged rapidly in the years following Lombard's death, his once vibrant personality dimming with every passing day. Some fans believe their love was doomed from the start, cursed even. After all, how else could such a perfect couple be torn apart so tragically? Was their love destined for disaster, or is this just another tragic coincidence in a town where fame and fortune often come with a dark side? Whatever the case, the curse of their love lingers as one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking tales. Live fast, die young. James Dean didn't just say it, he embodied it. His tragic death at 24 in a car crash behind the wheel of his Porsche 550 Spider cemented him as a Hollywood legend. But what's even more spine-chilling is the aftermath of the crash. Dean had ominously nicknamed his car Little Bastard, and that name proved eerily fitting. After Dean's fatal accident, the car's parts were salvaged and sold off, leading to a bizarre string of disasters. One buyer installed parts from Little Bastard in his own car and was later killed in a crash. Another was severely injured when the car flipped unexpectedly. Even as a museum display, the wreckage seemed to carry bad luck. Workers reported strange accidents and injuries. It wasn't long before rumors of a curse took hold, with many believing that anyone who touched Dean's cursed Porsche would meet a grisly fate. So, was Little Bastard truly cursed, or was it just a string of freak accidents? And speaking of iconic roles with dark legacies, let's talk about another man who donned the Superman cape, Christopher Reeve. He became a global icon when he took on the role of Superman in 1978, soaring into stardom as the hero everyone admired. But, tragically, he would also become part of the chilling Superman curse that seemed to follow actors who wore the famous cape. In 1995, Reeves' life took a devastating turn when he was thrown from a horse, paralyzing him from the neck down. It was a horrific accident, and many fans couldn't help but draw eerie comparisons to George Reeves, the original Superman, who met a mysterious end decades earlier. But unlike George, Christopher's story didn't end there. Despite his life-altering injury, Reeve became a symbol of hope and resilience, advocating for spinal cord research and inspiring millions. Yet, the shadow of the Superman curse lingered, with fans asking, was it just bad luck, or did playing the role of a hero come with an unseen price? Reeves' courage shone through until the very end, but the curse of the Man of Steel left its mark. Christopher Reeve's accident wasn't the first to cast a shadow over Hollywood, but few stories are as unsettling as the strange events that unfolded on the Poltergeist set. The so-called Poltergeist curse claimed the lives of several cast members, but none more tragic than Heather O'Rourke, the angelic child star, known for her chilling line, "They're here," died at just 12 years old from a misdiagnosed illness. Her death shocked Hollywood, and it wasn't long before whispers of a curse began circulating. Adding fuel to the fire were the strange and disturbing rumors that real skeletons were used in the movie's infamous pool scene. Many believed that these props may have disturbed spirits, dooming the young actors involved. Alongside O'Rourke, other cast members met untimely ends, solidifying the film's reputation as cursed. Was it just a series of unfortunate coincidences, or did the dark energy from the film cross over into real life? One thing's certain, Poltergeist isn't just known for its scares, but for the unsettling tragedies that followed its stars. The eerie misfortunes surrounding Poltergeist weren't limited to just one or two people. Just as Saturday Night Live gave the world some of comedy's biggest stars, it also became associated with the tragic losses of John Belushi and Chris Farley, two legends who shared eerily similar fates. Saturday Night Live has launched some of the biggest names in comedy, but for a few stars, the laughs came with a heavy price. John Belushi and Chris Farley were two of the brightest lights to ever grace the SNL stage. Their larger-than-life personalities and outrageous humor made them beloved by millions. But beneath the surface, both men struggled with addiction, a battle they ultimately lost. Belushi died from a drug overdose in 1982, at the height of his fame. His death shocked fans, but eerily, 15 years later, Chris Farley's story followed a hauntingly similar path. Farley, like his comedic idol, died from a drug overdose in 1997, at the same age Belushi had, 33. The eerie parallels between their lives and deaths led many to whisper about an SNL curse, where fame, pressure, and substance abuse created a deadly mix for the show's biggest stars. Is it just a tragic coincidence? Or is there something more sinister at play? Belushi and Farley may have lit up the comedy world, but the 27 Club took a much darker toll on the world of music. claiming the lives of rock legends like Kurt Cobain. His death at 27 only deepened the mystery behind the phenomenon of musicians whose brilliance burned out far too soon. The Nirvana frontman, who helped define an entire generation with his raw grunge sound, tragically died at just 27 years old in 1994. Cobain's death was officially ruled self-inflicted, but the details surrounding it left many unanswered questions. From his struggles with addiction to his ongoing battle with mental health, there's no denying that Cobain faced immense pressure in his short life. What's eerie is that Cobain wasn't the first rock icon to die at 27. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison all passed away at the same age, leading fans to speculate whether there was something more at play, perhaps even a curse. The pattern has led to endless theories about why so many famous musicians have died at this seemingly cursed age. Was it fame, misfortune, or something darker? Whatever the case, the 27 Club remains one of the most haunting mysteries of the music industry, with Cobain's death deepening the fascination with this tragic phenomenon. Cobain's story mirrors another young star whose life was cut short just before reaching superstardom, River Phoenix, whose sudden death outside the Viper Room shocked Hollywood and fueled rumors of a curse on young actors. River Phoenix was the kind of actor who seemed destined for greatness, with a natural talent and charisma that shone through in films like Stand By Me and My Own Private Idaho. Phoenix was on the brink of superstardom. But in 1993, his life was tragically cut short when he died of a drug overdose outside Johnny Depp's Viper Room nightclub in Los Angeles. Phoenix was just 23 years old. His death shocked the world, and many couldn't believe how quickly one of Hollywood's brightest young stars had burned out. Phoenix's story became a symbol of the pressures of fame at a young age. The eerie parallels to other young actors who had died too soon, like James Dean, only fueled rumors of a curse. Some speculated that the rapid rise to fame was simply too much for young actors to handle, leading to their downfall. Was Phoenix the victim of Hollywood's dark side? Or is there something more sinister behind the deaths of these promising young talents? His death left a void in the industry, but the curse theory lingers. Much like River Phoenix, Selena Quintanilla's meteoric rise was abruptly ended in the most tragic way possible, leaving fans mourning not just the loss of a star, but wondering if her fate was part of something even darker. Selena was a trailblazer in the world of Tejano music, adored by millions and poised for crossover stardom in the American music scene. Her voice, charisma, and talent made her a beloved figure, but her life ended in a shocking and brutal manner when she was murdered at the age of 23. What makes her death even more tragic is that it wasn't some distant stranger who took her life. It was Yolanda Saldivar, the president of her own fan club. Selena's rise to fame had been meteoric, and her murder rocked the Latin music world. Fans couldn't shake the feeling that her death was more than just a random act of violence, with some speculating that there's a curse that haunts young Latin artists who achieve fame too quickly. The eerie pattern of other Latin musicians who have also met untimely deaths only fuels this theory. To this day, Selena's fans mourn her loss and wonder what might have been had her life not been cut short. Could her tragic end be linked to a broader curse, or was it simply the darkest twist of fate? Selena's death wasn't just a loss for her fans. It added to the pattern of young stars meeting tragic ends, a pattern seen again in Britney Murphy's sudden and unexplained passing, which left Hollywood scrambling for answers. Britney was one of Hollywood's brightest stars in the early 2000s, known for her roles in films like Clueless and 8 Mile. But in 2009, her life came to a sudden and shocking end when she died at the age of 32. Officially, the cause of death was pneumonia combined with anemia and drug intoxication, but the circumstances surrounding her death were anything but ordinary. What made the situation even more bizarre was that just 5 months later, her husband, Simon Monjack, died under nearly identical circumstances. Speculation ran wild. Was it a case of toxic mold in their Hollywood home? Could foul play have been involved? The back-to-back deaths left many wondering if there was something far more sinister at play, perhaps even a curse. Murphy's sudden decline in health in her final days, paired with the strange nature of both deaths, fueled whispers of a curse that plagued the couple. Fans and conspiracy theorists alike have spent years trying to piece together the mystery of Britney Murphy's tragic end. Was it bad luck, a toxic environment, or something even darker? One thing's for sure, Hollywood has never quite been able to shake the mystery of her death. Murphy's mysterious death still raises questions, just like Aaliyah's fatal plane crash. Both stars seemed destined for greatness before their lives were abruptly cut short, leaving us all to wonder what might have been. Aaliyah, often called the Princess of R&B, was on the cusp of becoming one of music's biggest icons when tragedy struck. In 2001, at just 22 years old, Aaliyah died in a devastating plane crash after filming her music video for Rock the Boat. The plane, tragically overloaded with equipment and passengers, crashed shortly after takeoff, killing everyone on board. The news of her death sent shockwaves through the music world, leaving fans heartbroken. But as the grief settled in, rumors began swirling about a potential curse. Aaliyah's meteoric rise to fame, much like other young musicians, had been cut short, sparking eerie comparisons to the deaths of artists like Selena and Kurt Cobain. Was her death a case of bad luck, or was there something more sinister behind it? Fans still mourn Aaliyah and wonder what height she could have reached if not for that ill-fated flight. Her untimely death draws eerie parallels to the strange and controversial details surrounding Heath Ledger's final moments, where the unexpected involvement of Mary-Kate Olsen raised questions that have never fully been answered. Heath Ledger's death in 2008 stunned the world, but the details that emerged after his passing only deepened the mystery. When Ledger was found dead in his New York apartment from an accidental overdose, the first person called wasn't 911. It was Mary-Kate Olsen. This curious fact led to a whirlwind of speculation about the relationship between Ledger and the Olsen twins, who have long been Hollywood's most enigmatic figures. While there's no definitive evidence linking Mary-Kate to Ledger's tragic end, the unusual circumstances sparked rumors of a deeper, darker connection. Some have even speculated about a curse following the Olsen twins. After all, they've managed to stay out of the public eye while often being linked to strange events in Hollywood. Ledger's passing and his connection to the enigmatic Olsen twins seemed almost too strange to be true. Much like the freak accident that claimed the life of rising star Anton Yelchin in a tragedy that shocked his fans. He was a rising star in Hollywood, beloved for his roles in Star Trek and Like Crazy. At just 27, his career was taking off and his future seemed limitless. But in 2016, tragedy struck in the most unexpected and bizarre way. Yelchin was killed in a freak accident when his car rolled down his driveway and pinned him against a brick pillar. He died almost instantly. What made Yelchin's death even more haunting was the fact that his car, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, had been part of a recall for a defect that could cause the vehicle to shift out of park. The defect had never been fixed on Yelchin's car, and that fatal oversight led to his untimely death. Fans were left reeling. How could such a talented, healthy young actor die in such a senseless accident? Some began to speculate whether there was a curse tied to young actors who rise to fame too quickly. Such a promising life could end in such a random and tragic way, much like the unresolved deaths of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, whose intertwined fates left a lasting scar on the music industry. The feud between Tupac and Biggie, the notorious B.I.G., remains one of the most infamous in music history. Both rappers were at the height of their careers when they were gunned down in drive-by shootings just months apart. Tupac in 1996 and Biggie in 1997. Their deaths have sparked countless conspiracy theories, but one of the most chilling is the idea that they were both cursed by the East Coast-West Coast rivalry that defined the 90s rap scene. Many believe the killings were not just the result of a gang feud, but part of a larger, darker force at play. Some even suggest that the fame and fortune they achieved came with a deadly price. The eerie similarities between their deaths, the unsolved nature of both cases, and the tension that surrounded their final years have only fueled the theory of a curse. To this day, fans wonder if Tupac and Biggie were victims of more than just violence. Perhaps they were fated to meet the same tragic end. This infamous rivalry might have been a public spectacle, but for child star Macaulay Culkin, his battles were far more personal. His early success came with a heavy price, one that followed him for years after the spotlight faded. Macaulay, the child star of the 1990s. After his breakout role in Home Alone, Culkin became a household name, catapulted into stardom at just 10 years old. He was the highest paid child actor of his time, but that level of fame came with a heavy price. Behind the scenes, his family life was a nightmare, with his parents fighting bitterly over control of his fortune. By the time he hit his teenage years, Culkin had retreated from the spotlight, seemingly burned out by Hollywood's demands. Rumors of addiction, arrests, and personal struggles soon followed him. Many wondered if Culkin had fallen victim to the same curse that seemed to plague so many child stars. Fame too early, a life unraveling too soon. Though Culkin has since made a quieter return to the public eye, fans can't help but wonder if his early success came with an inevitable downfall.